Agree.
Yep.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, here we are back on 3860 kilohertz. It's the evening of Ground Hog Day, February 2nd. UTC time is February 3rd. It's about 0254 and a half, plus a little more.
So what's it costing now, Mike?
The guys are discussing the cold weather coming to the northeastern U.S. and complaining about the prices that they're paying for fossil fuels.
$4 is still out.
Yeah, I was paying.
I have a suggestion. If your fossil fuels are expensive, get the fuck off of your fossil fuels.
Make no mistake, as much as they want to say, oh, things are coming down, they're still astronomically...
It's not all about you, bro. It's not all about you.
The only thing coming down is the price for an abortion.
What are you paying for gas?
Right.
And, of course, pro-life Mike is not really pro-life. Pro-life my ass.
This guy is so effing corrupt. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Everything they accused Trump of, this guy has done tenfold. And no accountability. Zero.
All right, let's talk about technical things for a moment, because the content is just the usual talking points. This recording is being made a little bit differently than prior recordings. Yes, we're streaming from 2 different KiwiSDRs, and my intention is to put together a synthetic stereo binaural recording. I'm recording the RF signals in IQ mode. It has a great advantage in that all of this is recorded as RF waveforms in a complex format, which means I can play this back through some SDR software and actually listen inside of the recording in lower sideband or upper sideband, or tune up or down as necessary. So you can treat the recording as an RF signal. It's a great way to archive signals that you find on the bands, whether it is broadcast, DX, military, aeronautical, or just a bunch of angry, crazy right-wingers and the people who jam them. Here on 3860 kilohertz. So I'm going to use SDR++ and put these 2 channels together in synthetic stereo for your enjoyment.
He needs to be dragged out of the White House in handcuffs, as far as I'm concerned. This guy is the most corrupt president in my lifetime, if not in history. Enough is enough. The guy is corrupt. It's proven that he's corrupt. Enough is enough. Stop the bullshit. Get his ass out of there. Get Kamala out of there. They are corrupt. Get this fucking government out of there. They are the most corrupt government in the history of our country. This is enough. This is bullshit.
Guys, this is K2JJ. I just want to say hello and good night. I'm going to work. I just want to stop and say hello to you guys. I'll catch you tomorrow night.
Got you in around clear there, JJ.
Hey, Joe, would you settle for dragging him out in the news?
Drag him out by whatever means possible. He is undermining our country. There's no doubt. There's no question about it. He is undermining our country. He needs to go. This is bullshit. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. This man is the most corrupt president in my lifetime. He has to go.
Bush and Clinton were pretty bad.
These guys are all drinking the right-wing Kool-Aid. Trump is close to going to jail if Merrick Garland ever finds his balls and prosecutes for it, because there's plenty of evidence and there's plenty of law. Garland is dragging his feet. I think he's waiting for New York State and the state of Georgia to prosecute Trump for his crimes of fraud, financial fraud, and electoral fraud. If it was up to me, Trump would already be in jail for trying to overthrow the U.S. government. on behalf of all of these crazy right-wing insurrectionist fucks, such as you hear on 3860 and elsewhere on the ham bands.
Well, it sounds like you need your Donald Trump doll there, Joe.
Any way you want, Joey. Joey, especially, I will not only punch you in the mouth, I'll stick my foot in your ass, you little faggot.
Yeah, whatever. You better be careful. He might like that. You pussy.
Yeah, I ain't no pussy.
You might like
don't
that.
know me. You don't know me. You're a bunch of scumbags. If you're
Joe's pretty mad today. I don't know what's setting him off. Maybe he just doesn't like being bitten by all those mosquitoes down there in Lakeland, Florida.
To Russia or Venezuela, whatever, where you'd be more comfortable. You're scumbags. You're total scumbags, and you hate this country. You need to be obliterated.
They're gonna get you the
No. You don't want to export them to Russia. That's a white Christian nation. They would not be happy there. They have to go to communist China.
So the jammers aren't really doing a whole lot right now.
Keep talking.
I'll keep talking. I'll talk to you.
Here's Joe,
What are you gonna do, Joe? What are you gonna do?
who was the fellow up on 7200 this afternoon,
You're the biggest pussy
holding court against a huge number of very angry right-wingers.
You're a pussy.
I don't understand that guy, Lefty Joe.
You're a pussy.
He wants to debate these people, and there is no debate anymore.
You're 5 foot.
Fess up, Joey.
6 feet.
In my opinion, the days of debating are over.
You don't scare anyone, Joe.
He thinks you're 5 foot.
Scare you.
You're
Apparently, it got back to me that I scared the shit out of you, you little
talking
faggot.
yourself into jail.
Ah, bullshit. Don't give me your crap, Joe.
You're making
You talk nonsense. Everyone hates you, Joe. Remember that. Don't ever forget. Everyone hates you.
Doesn't matter what they do.
What Joe will tell you will do is he'll document the recording and present it to some friggin' out-of-control federal cop.
You're gonna go to jail, Joe. Just keep talking.
You're gonna end up like Captain Dave.
Hey, exactly. That's the guy I was thinking of. Captain Dave number 2. Keep running your mouth, Joe.
Oh, tell that to Madonna.
Madonna?
Yeah, she threatened to blow up Trump.
Well, that was artistic license.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. How quickly we forget what the Democrats did when Trump won. How quickly.
What about Johnny Depp when he said
Trump didn't win.
when was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
Democrats in the summer of 2020 with murder, death, kill, with riots and arson. Are you kidding me? F you, up your ass, Joe. You know nothing. Get off the radio, you scumbag. You know nothing. You're an illiterate douchebag.
The riots were a response to police brutality. My response for that is pretty simple. No justice, no peace.
I'm a
very successful lawyer puller.
You're gonna get
You wouldn't know what that is, Joe. He has a very fine brain.
Just remember, motherfuckers, we don't have MLK to stress the importance of peace and peaceful protest. If the police brutality doesn't stop, things could get really ugly. Because there's plenty of weaponry out there. Plenty of folks who know how to improvise weapons.
Not dare call it
What we need is a DOJ that will prosecute.
The punishment for treason is hanging.
Somebody call the Lakeland, Florida police. I know what it is. Someone call the Lakeland, Florida police. Preferably someone in Florida.
Have a good old home day. He doesn't understand that it's not a very...
There goes the tape recording of the crying baby again.
Right now. He's absolutely crazy.
He doesn't understand it's Florida. It's not Chicago.
Calm down.
Exactly, Mike.
You're not running the world, Joe.
In Polk County, Florida, the sheriff don't screw around with little faggots like Joe Italian.
Stop hanging out with Hunter, Joey. He's detrimental to your lifespan.
I don't use drugs.
Yeah, he likes sticking things in the way.
Normal on the air like this. There's no
You should use drugs. That would explain a lot then.
You're cognizant.
And KF8ED has joined the crowd, so
I'm just saying, boy, you're
the possum is in the group.
What's going on? What's going on,
His
Joe?
signal's a little bit wide, if you notice.
Shove off, Joe, you
I think he's overdriving his transmitter a bit.
He's the biggest piece of shit on ham radio.
Not
Joe Italian.
stupid to even
On
have a conversation.
7200, they voted him
Joey, the
king
newbie
shit.
wire fraud pedophile.
That's
The wire fraud pedophile, Joey. That's what you are. It's a proven fact. You can't run away from it, Joe. It's going to follow you wherever you go. You're a wire fraud pedophile.
Million Americans.
You're a wire fraud pedophile.
Nope, not
So these guys go on and on and on and on.
It's going to follow you wherever you go.
I'm your worst nightmare, Joe.
No, you're not, Peter. Oh, God, no.
No man at all. No normal man.
Imagine that
Lays
Joey
a hand on a
Italiano
woman.
being my worst nightmare.
He wouldn't even make a
Dude,
wet
let
dream,
me tell you
Joe.
something. You don't ever want to meet up with me.
Well, I
That's
don't
a
want to
fact.
meet up with you, Joe. I don't want
Ask
to
your
meet up
buddy,
with criminals.
Richie, if you ever want to
No,
meet
I'm
up with me.
criminal.
If he's truthful,
I think
he'll be honest
criminals
with you.
should be in jail.
You'll be buried.
You should be deported, you know that?
To where? To the state I came from?
Believe criminals being in jail.
I don't know. I don't know where you should be
You
deported.
take it up with this douche nozzle.
You're just crazy tonight, Joe. Chill out.
All right, Joe, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for being so crazy. I'm going to chill out now.
Okay, good.
Hi there.
Okay, guys, I calmed him down. Go on.
Come over here. My hands are steady now.
No, you didn't calm him down.
With your transition.
He simply blew off all the steam he needed to blow off. Now he needs to catch his breath.
N2LYM is infatuated.
Nobody calmed him down
Put a nice
about anything.
That's all that the man talks about.
I gotta back up.
Either he's talking about gay people, or he's talking about wants to mutilate, sexually
He
mutilate
gets
people.
triggered when I want to cut his dick off because he's cool.
They're not gay, they're sodomites.
Positive thing to say about Joe Italiano.
Roger on the side of
Come now. Speak now.
There any,
Anyone have anything positive to say about these assholes?
Mike's area up there.
Yeah, the sodomites are right. Otherwise known as bullshit.
I don't know what set these guys off, but everybody is angry this evening.
They're not gay, they're sodomites.
And they're coming on especially intense with the
All he does is he's
homophobic comments and misogynistic comments too.
Just like queer. Queer means odd. It doesn't mean I want to stick
And it's been this way all day. 7,200 kilohertz was absolutely a mess earlier.
Just ring off your line. Omar married a white man, and AOC's gonna marry a white man.
Mike, you'd be better off with a 40-piece conduit to shove up his ass. It's so stretched out.
along with the
Listen to these guys.
You get your ass kicked every night. You come out every single night. You come out here and get your ass kicked.
Happy Black History Month.
You're very resilient.
To see Joe. I'm the
The shortest month of the year.
You get your ass
shot
kicked
there. They're trying to make them
single
normal again.
night, Joe. People up on 7,200. People text me all day long that you're getting your ass handed to you on 7,200. And then you come down here and you get your
Infamous.
here. What drives you?
Infamous.
Yeah, so Florida Joe has a few friends who listen up there, maybe operate, maybe not, but they send him text messages about the happenings on 7,200.
I want to hurt you, Joe. I don't know if you realize that. A lot of hams want to hurt you.
Harold's instructions.
Everybody wants to hurt you. All hams want to hurt you, Joe.
No, that's a lie.
Everybody
You have a nice looking house.
Well, I'm a ham, I don't want to hurt that guy.
And you were,
Your house looks
I think he is wasting his breath trying to debate with these right-wingers in here, though.
there's no question about it. And no one would report it.
You
The
got a
time
nice
for
red
debate is
mailbox
over.
inside.
Wouldn't even
There's nothing more to talk about.
laying
Oh, good, good.
bloody mess on the floor.
Joe,
It's kind of a small house, but that's okay.
That's a fact.
say that, Joe.
That's a fact. People would kill you. A lot of people want to hurt you really bad, Joe.
Hey, this conversation went on for
No, you
just about a couple of hours,
want to hurt you. Nobody wants to hurt
and it was all very angry, very dense.
me, Joe.
Hardly anyone taking time to take a breath and just chill. So what we're really here for in this video is to try and get some direction finding fixes on the jammers. So let's do a little fast forwarding and find the jammer stations and do a little TDOA geolocation.
You, Joe. She doesn't hate me. She didn't destroy me.
Why do you care?
The best thing I did was get the hell away from a libtard douchebag like her.
Calm him down, then. You need to help calm him down. I'm telling you, he's going to get the
everyone
Secret Service
hates you.
called on.
No one hates me.
It's a matter of time.
Everyone hates you.
No, Madonna didn't have it happen. Either did Johnny.
Okay, so you don't care if he gets the Secret Service called on him. You really don't. Matter of fact, you probably think it would be
No, he's going to have the Secret Service called on.
So do whatever you got to do.
Are you kidding me?
Go ahead and do
I
whatever
wish the
you
worst
want.
for the president.
He's not the president.
Somebody to assassinate him. What the hell are you talking about, you?
Like Joe said, man. Oh, then I got the FCC. That's
bullshit and
my
trying
life. Nothing
to
happened.
steer the conversation somewhere else. It's bullshit. You're a liar. You're a scumbag. Everyone hates you.
He tries to put words in your mouth. That's a little faggot
God,
stuff.
that is so lame. Anybody that's ever searched or anything will say,
Says KFAD checking in.
get out of here. Get out.
Yeah, check in. The more you talk, the more it annoys him.
They don't have sharing your frequency.
Everyone hates Joe Italiano. No one has ever said a positive thing about you.
Chief.
No one. Ever.
Starting the first
Name
week
one
of
person that has a positive thing to say about you.
month.
Black History Month, where Ilhan Omar married a white man.
To say
Black
about Joe
History Month,
Italiano.
AOC, who hates white men, is going to marry a white man.
Shut up, stupid.
Joe is a great guy. I'm a great American.
Raised with a silver spoon in her mouth, like every other one of these Bolsheviks.
I'm a great American.
Joe is a great guy.
He ain't that, all right. He beat his mom, and look at how it turned out.
You're a douchebag, Joe. Are you American? Are you kidding me?
All this is
Joey, you need to get your teeth kicked in.
Yeah, fake
by someone.
outrage.
Anyone.
Joe's really upset
I'd
over what's
probably
going
pay
on
him
in
to
the
do it.
country. It's all fake outrage.
No, bleach is It's only white. It's not red, white, and blue.
It's fake outrage. This is just a show.
You need your teeth kicked in, Joe.
Upset. I'm a wire puller. I'm really upset about the direction of the country.
If he only knew what wire pullers make in a year.
That's all I'm about is pulling wire.
You can't just make things illegal and send them to jail when they do the bad things, or else you end up in a country like this country that does all those things that you want to overthrow it because of, right?
Well, using that logic, then, we should never have any laws against murder.
And it's just a bunch of beliefs. It's just a bunch of
No laws against murder at all.
Frequency is going to
You should just convince people that it's wrong to murder, but don't put them
So these guys are having a very angry and emotional discussion about their pro-life positions versus pro-choice.
frequency, folks, like the country. Take back the frequency. No, I don't have a problem. They have that problem.
Right, and so what is your plan?
The discussion is being crafted improperly when it's just pro-life versus pro-choice.
So in other words, just tell them
Motherfuckers, there is a right to privacy,
leave them alone.
a right to due process that's not being addressed when it's just about life or choice.
There are women that have not had abortions that ended up committing suicide. Probably more that ended up having pregnancies unwanted that committed suicide. Are you kidding?
I know women that have gone
All
to
of these
abortion
males
clinics
discussing
and never came out
forced
alive.
birth. All of these males discussing something that they only participate in for a few seconds. all of these males are in here discussing why they have a not a pro-life, but a forced birth position, an anti-14th Amendment position, an anti-4th Amendment position, the right to privacy, the right to due process.
So you talk about abortion, should it be illegal? All the women better just go get pregnant so they can go get abortions now while they can get the chance.
Talk over this piece
That
of
logic
shit.
doesn't make any sense.
Hey, Mike, this is Mike from Michigan. I hope I talk right over you. If I don't, I'll crank it up to another 15 under one. I'll get over you.
So as you can see, the signals are very dense. Everyone is right up on their microphones. Everyone's pretty angry this evening.
Work for New York Times.
We'll crank it up just a little bit more.
And I'm still waiting for the jammers to start laying it on. At this point, I have heard some signals from both Unajammer and Super Soul. But it seems that they're doing more listening and not so much transmitting at the moment.
And he needs to move himself off to another country like Russia. But of course, he wouldn't live in Russia because he wouldn't have the
Super Soul is in there.
here. But he fights against freedoms over here. Kind of crazy. What a weird.
It's not as strong as this one guy who's transmitting right now. I don't know his name.
He lets me do all the hard work with the amplifier.
I just think that.
And there's some Black Sabbath in the background. I got a copyright claim on a video I put up last week because of that music. I kept it in the video, and of course after a couple of days, YouTube sent me a notification of a copyright claim on it. Fuck YouTube. The video was demonetized for copious amounts of bad language, controversial topics. No one in their right mind is going to advertise and generate revenue on this thing.
Let's have the Constitution reading. I'm in favor. All in favor. Say aye.
No, Mikey, nobody invited you.
Oh, come on.
Max is Mike from Michigan, a piece of shit that he is.
So anyhow, Super Soul is in there.
There you go.
He's making a mess of the frequency.
Talk over him. We'll just talk over him. Boom, you're squished. We shall overcome. We'll just squish your ass, that's all. When it comes to talking, we will talk to each other and we will squish the piece of shit that decides to come on.
This is a regional frequency.
I don't need it for Midwest. You can go away.
And I'm going to fast forward a little bit and get down to the geolocation attempts. Hang on a minute.
Let us have ours. So I guess we should not allow you to have yours on your frequencies either. Hey, what's up down there in Florida? I like the guy playing the music. Evidently, he wants to teach these guys a lesson too.
No, it's the Ozzy. It's a good song.
I'm glad to hear me.
Oh, I can hear you, but now I can no longer.
At this point, Unajammer and Super Soul are in here, and they're both playing music. We've got Super Soul with, I believe it's a Steely Dan song. And Unajammer seems to pop in. He brings on a bit of music and then cuts his signal and goes back into listening mode. So now we've got something else that's come up which is really loud. Notice that Super Soul has a wider signal and it's got that sort of splotchy, backscattery look. Not so much backscatter on Unajammer. And Unajammer is a lot stronger on both SDRs. That guy is running a lot of power. it was at about this point, I figured it's a good idea to bring on the TDOA extension and start taking some data. It's kind of a tricky thing because there are two rather strong stations both playing music in two different locations, and the band is also starting to get a little long. You don't really see much selective fading on these signals, but there's an interesting sort of a splotchy look to the Super Soul jammer, and Unajammer has a lot less of that, and maybe a little bit of selective fading on his signal. Now, the way the TDOA extension works is I'll click on it, bring up the extension, and then select from a map a number of KiwiSDR receiver sites. And they all need to have GPS timing, and they need to have good reception of the target signal. So it's good to pick sites that have a good SNR rating. The sensitive sites, the ones without too much background noise. So it's interesting. I'm not really sure what this music is. It's not the oldie station. Let's just set up a floating window here. I'm using the i3 window manager, and gotta go to linkfunnel.net, pull up one of the better SDR sites. You can see it's the middle of the nighttime here. Darkness in the northeastern U.S. I have a suspicion that Unajammer is in the Adirondack Mountains, or maybe southwestern New England, and I've gotten some fixes that point more towards western Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh area, but I haven't been able to consistently get those fixes. Quality starts to deteriorate late in the evening when that person likes to do most of their jamming. Super Soul has been on in the afternoons, and I've gotten some fixes on that one, pointing to an area around Binghamton, New York, and sometimes it seems to be more located in central Pennsylvania. It's really hard to get good fixes on these guys at night, even if you're using a beam antenna or a loop and getting directional bearings. The direction changes quite a lot. Goes left, right, left, right, left, right. With the propagation, the TDOA extension tends to show a nice circular, small calculation of where the station is if the band is stable. What you're going to see here is that the band is not stable, and if I'm lucky, I'll get a good fix. Most of the time, I'm not lucky, and I get some rather large and ridiculous areas that seem to add up to where it's located. I've got a couple of position fixes that were out in the Atlantic Ocean, some things that were obviously too far west. So I just keep taking stabs at it. Sample and look at the map, sample and look at the map. And build a collection of these. So this one says the most likely location is in eastern Pennsylvania, southwest of Allentown. But look at it. It's a large, elongated area that shows here the heat map. That's not a good quality fix.
Yeah, meet me on the other one. Meet me on the other one, Joe.
So the operators are leaving 3860. It's just too much for them now. It's with Unajammer really tearing things apart. I've got another fix that indicates a location up in Ottawa. Again, it's a low quality fix. Notice that it's elongated. Again, I need to pick receiver sites that are in some better locations to reduce that uncertainty. They all seem to agree on how far east or west it is, but they are not agreeing on the latitude. Let's finish up another sample. These are all pretty good stations. WA2 ZKD, K1VL. I'm not so sure about WA3 ETD. But the other three are pretty good. Okay, now this one is a little bit more limited. Indicates north central Pennsylvania. This I've seen before. Notice there are some other lobes that were ranking a little higher on the heat map. South and west of the main area. And another area to the east over New York City. I don't think those others are so likely. The only way to really be sure is to take a lot of samples and see what comes up the most often. Not just most often, but with the most quality position fix. Sometimes when I'm bored and the jamming is going on, I'll follow Joe and the other guys to whatever other frequency they're using. Sometimes it's 3844. Sometimes they just switch to upper sideband on 3860. Sometimes they go to 3865, lower sideband. But I'm not really interested in following them today. I want to track down this jamming station a little more. Okay, now we have another position in Pennsylvania, central PA, again. Once again, the prediction is in an elongated area. The heat map is strongest in Pennsylvania. Now, with enough good quality fixes, if the area can be whittled down to an area that's about maybe 30 miles across, east-west, north-south, then it's possible to go for a drive out there with the radio truck and find the antenna. What the feds will do is exactly that. They will narrow down their position fixes, and when they're reasonably sure, they'll send one or maybe more radio trucks out there, and they'll find the guy. They'll park under his antenna and take measurements. They'll make their own IQ recording. They'll take field strength measurements, and they'll characterize the transmitter signal. Hey, listen to that. Do you hear that in the background? There's a bird chirping. That's the old interval signal for Radio South Africa. That's funny. I believe this station transmitting is Super Soul, which tends to be a little weaker with a bit more splotchy kind of spectral pattern. I think it's backscatter that we're looking at. Backscatter definitely gets that splotchy look during the wee hours of the morning on 75 meters. So there are a few hams in there that are still trying to operate on the frequency. They want to take it back from the jammers. Maybe they can operate in other parts of the country or the continent. But that's certainly not in the mid-Atlantic states or New England. These jammers are just too strong. Pretty well from Virginia, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and north up into Maine. I've listened to these guys, and the jammers are pretty strong.
Peacefully March. That would be a good name for a band.
Dart. So we're switched over and now using the K1RA SDR, actually located down in Virginia, so don't let the one call sign fool you. It's one of the better receivers. It's got a very nice SNR. It's sensitive without a whole lot of RF interference around the receiver site. So the two jammers are out there. Super Soul playing his oldies, and then in rapid hit and run style attacks, the Unajammer comes in. So I'm picking some of my favorite KiwiSDR receivers for taking samples on the action on 3860. WA2ZKD, very sensitive receiver, good internet quality. EN90XK is out near Pittsburgh, K3FEF in eastern Pennsylvania, K1VL up in Vermont, and when NTE is problematic, it's a sensitive receiver. However, their internet is sometimes choppy, and right now, there are no recent GPS timestamps. Well, hell. And not only that, we've got low quality data from K3FEF at the moment, so I'm going to need to cut them out. As you can see, we have a TDOA position fix, which is out in the Atlantic Ocean. That geolocation is no good. So the jammer is taking breaks periodically, and I presume listening to see if there's any activity on the frequency, or if he's just playing music by himself, alone on the frequency. I'm trying to get good quality samples, and I often have trouble doing that because the hams want to take back the frequency, and they'll transmit over the music with comments, attempts at doing a QSO, so I can't get good geolocations when there's interference. It may be strange to think of interference on a jammer, but I want a clean signal from the jammer without people talking over them. Sometimes I can get it, sometimes I can't. Notice that Super Soul runs his bandwidth out to 4 kilohertz. Unajammer tends to run a bandwidth of about 2.7, 2.8 kilohertz. Just a little less than 3. So these guys have been able to tear things apart here on 3860 because they're not just one station, they're 2 stations. I would expect them to be coordinating in some fashion. I don't know where they coordinate, if they're talking to each other by voice, or if they have an IRC channel, or some space on Telegram or Facebook or somewhere else. I don't know. But they do seem to show up together. Often one will quit and the other one will stay on after the frequency is vacated by the other users. Just noticing their habits. The Unajammer seems to leave first most of the time. Doesn't really stick around much. Super Soul will stay on all night. I made one recording of Super Soul. I didn't have him nicknamed at that time, but I made a recording of him in late December 2021, and that guy stayed on all night. I mean, it wasn't long before the sun was going to come up and that guy was still in there. And then he finally shut down. But once again, it's hard to get position fixes on these stations during the really late hours of the evening and the pre-dawn hours, actually, because the propagation is too long and there's too much backscatter. It would be much easier to geolocate them both if they would come on before the band opens. Like maybe 4 or 5 in the afternoon. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Okay. Here's a much better quality position fix. And again, indicates Western Pennsylvania. This one centers to the east of Pittsburgh. I have gotten multiple hits in Western Pennsylvania and a few in the Adirondacks to the south of Albany, New York, and a number of hits in the Binghamton, New York area. So I'll just continue doing things like this when conditions warrant. Sooner or later, the federales are going to find both of these jamming stations, and it'll be interesting to read the reports about where they are located, and if this TDOA method of geolocating stations is as good as it seems to be. I know it's good when conditions are stable. It's good for long wave, medium wave when the band is closed. It's good for stations that are operating on the higher frequencies when the band is open, but not when there's long skip. Alright, so now we have another fix. Notice that the longitude is somewhat similar as far as how west it is, but it's farther to the north, so the latitude is different. but it is circular, and the most intense red on the heat map is in a fairly small area, as the heat maps go. Upstate New York, near Rochester. And this guy plays so much music. It's easier when he's just running George Carlin or clips from Full Metal Jacket because it's the spoken word. This music is sometimes problematic for us content creators on YouTube. Content ID is good at recognizing music. A, that there is music, and B, whose music it is. And there are a lot of scammers and scumbags that are claiming rights to music that they don't really own and making vast sums of money doing it. It is a business. And YouTube is complicit in that. And who has to suffer? Content creators. Obviously, I'm not trying to replace the recorded music with this crap that's fluttering in off of the HF frequencies. There's a jamming station. I'm trying to document what's going on, and the music is incidental. It's not the main program. But I'm sure I'll still get hassled over it. Some scumbag will make a claim. Alright, there's a fix of lesser quality. Most probable location, it centers in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. It's a low quality geolocation. Let's try again. And I use 6 different KiwiSDR sites to get these geolocations. It takes a lot more time to attempt to correlate the signals and work out the difference of arrival time at each one. Southern Ontario to the east of Detroit, southwest of Toronto. Somewhat better quality, but again, it is an elongated area, and the correlation is not super high quality. It's better than some of the other geolocations that we've seen here. There was some whistling on the frequency. I believe one of the regular users of 3860 wants to try and take back the frequency. Let's see what the TDOA algorithm comes up with this time. Oh, not good at all. Not good at all. There are 3 of them. 3 of the receivers that could not contribute to a solution for one reason or another. It totally broke the whole thing. Let's try some more sampling. So Super Soul was in there again with some oldies music. Born to be Wild. And then Unajammer has come up on top of him with some reggae. Dub reggae. Something went wrong. Let's try it again. Not a good geolocation at all. Low quality, friends. Low quality. Look at that. The position shows the middle of Lake Michigan. That's funny. So both of these jammers are in here playing music. Whatever that one ham thought he was going to do. I heard him whistling in there, but he didn't make a call to anyone else. But he's not going to use the frequency, that's for sure. Another low-quality geolocation. This one is centered in the Adirondacks, actually west of the Adirondacks, south of the Finger Lakes region. I have gotten high-quality geolocations. It's been a while. It's been more than a year and a half, but I've had some of good quality taken in the afternoons show in this area. So that's why I sometimes suspect that at least one of the jammers is located in the Binghamton area.
1, 2, 3.
You can't live forever.
Ow.
Somebody's in there telling the jammer that he's not going to last forever doing this shit. Yeah, he's right. You know, when this guy gets cited by the feds for this jamming, stands in front of a judge, they might say, you did all of these terrible things, you did this, you did that, you disrupted, you broke all the rules. He's going to say, but I sure did have a good time doing it, and I fucked up those right-wingers good. He might not have any remorse at all. Probably take away his license, make him pay a really large civil asset forfeiture, whatever they want to call a big fine. But there's a strong possibility that neither of these stations are going to have much remorse. If they get dragged into court, the lawyer's going to tell them, at least say you're sorry for what you did. At least show signs of some kind of remorse. Fake it if you need to. We'll see how they respond when the day comes. It would be the things of Hollywood movies if they were dragged into court on their separate appearances for their very similar infractions and just said, fuck those right-wingers. Mike, Joe, the other Joe, Matt, fuck them all. But a smart lawyer would advise, don't do that in court, because the penalties will be severe. The court will have no mercy when you have no remorse. So, what's the music here? It sounds like a bit of David Bowie. I don't recognize the song. Man, it's been about 30 years or so ago, but I saw David Bowie live. He was a fantastic singer, great showman. I got a kick out of his music, especially when he performed it on stage. Hey, now that is a good quality geolocation. If we could get more and more like that, we'd know right where these guys are. So, this is predominantly the Unajammer, southwestern Pennsylvania again, around Pittsburgh. That's a good quality geolocation. This is the best one can expect at nighttime on 75 meters. The problem with getting them during the day is that the usual right-winger targets don't come on in the afternoon. They come on around sunset and in the early evening hours to start. And then they'll run until about 11 or 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And when the jammers come in and tear stuff up, the hams are more likely to just go to another frequency or just give up. And then the jammers are here playing music by themselves on an empty frequency. So the TDOA algorithm is running again. Let's see what we get. Most of the time I don't get two good quality geolocations in a row. Let's see what happens. The ionosphere behaves a lot like water on a lake, or maybe ocean waters. Sometimes they're smooth and steady, and that's when you can get the best geolocations with this TDOA method. There are other times when the ionosphere is disturbed and it's more like rough seas, and then the data is just crap. Signals sound fluttery. There's a lot of selective fading or backscatter, and it's a real mess. Now, look at this. This is low quality. It's the very next attempt to get a fix on that station, and it's low quality. Also, this one is not Unajammer. This is Super Soul. Notice the wider signal, weaker signal, and more funky propagation. Notice also the behavior where he cuts his transmission and goes into listening mode, and then often comes back, hits the frequency with more music, stops, listens. Hey, he's almost like a submariner. doing sprint and listen. Goes into action, stops, listens, goes into action. It's not quite the same though, because on the submarines, the sprint and listen, the sprint part is actually moving through the water and making noise while moving and then stopping, getting really quiet and listening. So things are getting quiet. I think the show might be over for the night. So ends another Ground Hog day. On 3860, the Ground Hogs have gone to bed. How much more winter is there? I don't know.